How do you define business analysis? And what do you understand by mindset? I have been interviewing some of the greatest Word BA experts on my channel on YouTube. If you had the chance to watch any of these interviews, you will see that business analysis may be practiced in many shapes and formats. Despite the fact that I call myself the Brazilian business analyst, I recently wrote an article advocating that we should promote business analysis not as a role, but as a mindset. This article had great feedback from some influential people in our community, and I decided to transform it into a video too. That is what you will watch right now. A link for the original article is in the video description, and I will be glad to see your comments there. There are different ways to understand business analysis. Of course, the provocative title of this video, BA is a mindset, does not eliminate other ways of seeing and understanding business analysis. The same thing, anything, can be seen from different perspectives. The International Institute of Business Analysis defined business analysis in a guide for the business analysis body of knowledge, the BABOK guide, as a practice to enable change in the context of an organization by defining needs and recommending solutions that create value to stakeholders. Viewing it as a practice leads us to think about BA as a way of doing things, a set of tasks and techniques as they are very well described in the BABOK guide. The PMI, the Project Management Institute, defined business analysis in their Guide to BA as a set of activities performed to support the delivery of solutions that align with business objectives and provide continuous value to the organization. Viewing it as a set of activities leads us to represent BA in a process mapping with inputs and outputs and then making distribution of roles. And this leads us to another way of viewing BA that, according to my perception, is the most common in organizations. Most day-to-day debates talk about BA as a role, most often allocated within the IT area and within a methodology with very specific deliverables. The position may vary from IT to business or maybe a neutral area, but usually a role responsible for the interface between business and IT. Although this may be the most common way of viewing BA, in my humble opinion, it's the worst of all because the discussion is restricted to arguing whether the business analyst is responsible or not for doing some activity required by the standard organizational process. That's bad because when the person who has the official role of BA thinks that something is not his duty, then he washes hands and only takes care of his own square. No commitments to business outcomes. And this can be even worse when the discussion never ends because of a poorly defined BA role in the organization that leaves room for different interpretations.
And that is really interesting because business analysis is one of those disciplines where we use terminology and people don't really quite understand it because business analysis is one of those disciplines that sometimes isn't very clearly understood.
In their excellent book, Delivering Business Analysis, Deborah Cole and Christina Lovelock argue that it is necessary to structure BA as a service. In fact, every organization should create a list of customized BA services according to its specific needs and context.
As soon as as we adopt a service mindset and tell ourselves that business analysis is not just a team or a function within an organisation, but it's a core service of that organisation, it leads us to think about our customers. What do they think of the service they're receiving? Is it the service that they want and expect? How can we implement continuous service improvement? And it also works at the next level, which is, what services do we offer for our customers?
To specify a service, one must define a clear value proposition for the service consumers, and the service provider organization must structure itself in the best way to provide that value. Viewing BA as a service allows organizations to structure themselves to deliver outcomes and to be able to train specialized professionals in each service, identifying the necessary skills in a much more focused approach. This is very good for developing T-shaped careers and specialized BA professionals. But this service view is limited to organizations that already understand the value of business analysis and are interested in creating specific structures for this purpose. Thinking and communicating business analysis not only as a practice, a set of activities, a role or a collection of services, but also as a mindset can help us reach other spaces. I believe that the career of a professional business analyst is at risk. Most organizations in an agile transformation do not have a business analyst formal position anymore. Most agile methods do not recognize the role of BA, and in this agile context, there is a tendency to perceive BA as bureaucracy and excess of formalism.
The way I've always described product owner, or at least at a very quick overview, is a product owner is a BA with decision-making authority, but without some of the bureaucracy that you see in the traditional BA world. So one of the challenges for a BA, like a traditional BA at least, moving into the agile world, is to give up on some of the documentation.
Professional business analysts are losing their jobs to other specialties such as product owners, agile coaches, user and customer experience analysts, scrum masters, and so on and so on. Many professionals are making a career migration to these areas because of a lack of opportunities as business analysts. I believe that everyone who knows business analysis agrees that it is essential in all these professions, but it is not recognized by the majority of those who are acting in these positions. Another problem is the lack of appreciation for the business analyst role. The assignments and responsibility that are related to those who formally assume the BA role are usually only a fraction of business analysis, restricted to specification of requirements at the delivery horizon. For many, the only chance to grow in their career and act with business analysis on a strategy horizon is by migrating to another position or function where they are no longer recognized as business analysts, but as consultants, architects, or managers.
In fact, sometimes I feel we have done a great disservice by making business analysis and analyst role like a tight coupling, like as if only business analysts need business analysis skill, which is absolutely incorrect. In fact, to me, every business professional should learn business analysis the moment they spend few hours in business.
When we tie business analysis to the business analyst role, we create a prison that restricts us to the limits of a specific community born in IT, professionals of a niche of people who got tired of taking the blame for producing things that no one needed.
As I said last time, I felt it ridiculous, it's crazy that this world is populated by gurus that we have a methods war, which we have had for 50 years. We need to put a stop to it.
If we remain restricted to this niche, the methods war will trample us with new practices and fads that just rename what we have been doing for many years, and the name business analysis may be forgotten. Organizations like IIBA may cease to exist, and we will see ourselves again addressing the same problems in other communities, just using different names for what we do. To avoid this risk, BA must get out of IT and gain the world. We need to democratize business analysis. Administrators, doctors, lawyers, engineers, entrepreneurs, traders, artists, nurses, everyone should know what BA is and apply in their own professions. And you know what? Many of them already do it. The best and most recognized professionals do business analysis, but they don't call what they're doing as BA. All these professionals seek to understand needs, evaluate different alternatives based on information available, and choose the solution that best suits their specific context. That is business analysis. But they never heard this name, and they have never been presented to this way of thinking in a structured manner supported by techniques like we do. And by we, I mean professional BAs.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more that business analysis is a skill for all professionals. And there's more and more research and studies out there pointing to that it's a very high demand skill no matter what your title. You don't have to have the title of business analyst to learn these skills. It's in demand for millions and millions and millions of people.
Everyone has a lot to learn. Any professional who applies BA consistently will get much better business results. With better focus, better collaboration, better business decisions, BA can contribute to anyone's profession. Another problem we are facing is that the BA role is out of fashion. In some companies, the BA role has already left IT and is working in business units. That's good, but the majority of BAs are simply making the bridge to IT solution developers, establishing clearer scopes for initiatives that involve some kind of IT system. Again, this is just a small part of business analysis, and increasingly seen as bureaucracy and excess of analysis that paralyzes the flow of work. Analysis paralysis. Something based on the waterfall approach. Although IIBA and the entire community of professionals who teach BA, myself included, have worked hard to change this image by presenting agile ways of doing BA, a lot of companies do not see BA as something worth investing in. They are looking for the new wave, and the role of BA is in the past. In order to be recognized and valued by a wider audience, we need to change the way we think and communicate business analysis. That's why I advocate we must express BA as a mindset. Business analysis as a mindset can be used by anyone of any profession and in any practice. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a mindset is a mental attitude or inclination. The BA mindset is that way of thinking that we develop after continuously practicing BA techniques and activities. It's that almost unconscious discomfort that makes us ask, why do you need this? Or how else could this problem be solved? Those thoughts help business get better outcomes.
So business analyst mindset is what helps business analysts solve problems. It's how we think, it's how we are motivated to understand the root cause of the problems and to truly help our customers.
I simply synthesize business analysis mindset by the statement: think well before making a decision. Everything we do in business analysis, tasks, activities, techniques, roles, services, exists to support this mindset. A way of thinking that, number one, seeks to understand problems within their contexts and from different perspectives before committing to a specific solution approach. Number two, evaluate different options in a systematic and structured manner. And three, makes the relevant information clear and simple so that better decisions can be made. This mindset can be taught and developed for anyone in the same way we teach and develop BA professionals today. No exclusivity. Let's learn from the success of others. Mindsets can make this transition from a local and specific practice to a much larger audience. I believe that Agile did it. Agile was assumed as a mindset and so transposed the IT frontier to other areas regardless of roles, practice or professions. We need workers with a BA mindset, leaders with a BA mindset, managers with a BA mindset, CEOs with a BA mindset. So we will have organizations with a BA mindset.
And so if you look at the evolution, you see things like LinkedIn, where LinkedIn Learning, one of the top skills right now on LinkedIn, number 6, right, on LinkedIn, is business analysis. And the people buying that training and those courses, they're not your traditional business analysts. They're people who are coming in wanting to understand how processes change, wanting to understand the skills of business analysts and being able to apply them to their own profession.
And we don't have to be afraid. The recognition of the BA mindset won't eliminate the BA profession, but will make it more valuable. When I seek professional improvement in a given area, I do not devalue the professionals of that area. Quite the contrary, I learn to value them. For example, if I want to raise my children with psychology, I value the work of a professional psychologist. The more I learn about decoration, the more I recognize the work of the professional decorator. The business analyst professional and respective certifications and institute tend to be better valued as more people develop this mindset and recognize it with the name business analysis. You must be asking yourself, how can one develop this BA mindset? To develop the mindset, you must study and practice until it's inherent part of your way of thinking, your standard way of seeing the world. As said by Yulia Kozarenko in her book Business Analyst, A Professional and a Mindset, your professional mindset will form gradually from practicing the profession, your specific work experience, and learning from your mistakes. As business analysis professionals, we must stop acting like BA is our exclusivity. Oh, my precious BA. We must move forward on the way we work so that other professionals recognize and admire it. We have to develop that mindset in everyone around us. Institutes and communities of practice needs to open up to those who are not business analysis professionals, but who only seek this way of thinking. This will require us to abandon certain jargons that we have taken over the years and have a more universal language. We need to be more easily digestible.
I think there's sometimes a perception that either you're analytical or you're not. And I disagree with that. I think people can learn to be more analytical by learning a lot of the techniques that we have, and practicing doing some of the analysis that we do, like building process models and capability models and things like that.
The discussions we often make about roles, methods, and professional positions need to move to background. They will certainly be of the interest or in the interest of business analysts, but not to professionals in other areas who want to develop this business analysis mindset. The development of this mindset and search for better business results is what we must bring to the foreground. And we need to make our mark so that our mindset is recognized. When BA is considered a mindset by all professionals, we will have in our community not only BA professionals, but BAs who are professionals in other areas as well.